Hi there. There we go. Nikki getting back on the camera. I've long been obsessed with where ideas come from, where people's thoughts come from, what is the cause of why a certain combination of ideas would appear in the world, what obsession does a person really have, what is that leads a person to have a certain way of thinking, and of course this channel is partially about me ranting against, ideas I find despicable, but let's just think about where they come from first and foremost. The way that I see it is when there's good news out on TV, people don't want to watch it. All right, when there's good news out on the internet, people don't seem to want to watch it. Okay, people want to spread things that are to do with fear or anxiety or panic or worry or things that make people have certain, emotions. All right, which are indicative of believing that they're doing something. When I was a student, I was young, I was stupid. The way that you are when you're young and you haven't quite got the wisdom of being a bit older. Uh, it was almost like I felt like I was working on my assignment when I wasn't really working on my assignment. I was just sitting in the corner, smoking my head off and being anxious about my assignment because the feeling gave me the experience of doing something constructive. Just like when people are like afraid, then they feel that if they, I don't know, retweet this or retweet that or do a video about this, that, or the other, it will somehow be doing something constructive, which it might be to a certain extent when you think about like awareness of issues. But that's not always the case. But when we're thinking about like the real world and real world changes and real world activity to bring about something which is useful, positive, beneficial, and can create some form of social change. Yeah, the awareness of various situations does enable various movements to get stronger, which can then lead to, overturning various regimes and all that kind of stuff. Sure. So there is a way in which this basic instinctive drive to spread things which are negative can have some kind of positive effects sometimes. But is that always the case? No. I've come to I suppose you could call it a belief, okay, that there's it's almost like everyone wants to be a skydiver. All right, everyone wants to do rap diving, jumping off cliffs and buildings, to have that kind of like adrenal rush, that feeling of excitement and exhilaration. But they want that whilst they're sitting on a nice, comfy sofa. All right, or sitting in a living room in front of a computer screen. All right, something like that. Okay, because there's no real threat to your body, but yet there's a feeling that you get. This is why the conspiracy theorists can do very well on the internet, because people can like tweet something out. I was actually reading a forum earlier on today with someone going on about FEMA and death camps and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was quite evident to me personally, or this was the way I saw it, that the individual who posted that got some kind of feeling of maybe excitement, maybe pleasure, maybe something from that particular feeling of fear that FEMA was doing something. They knew something that we did not. Well, of course, they know something that you don't. Just like I know something that you don't, and you know something that I don't. Everyone knows something that somebody else doesn't know, because we're all looking at the world from slightly different points of view, because we're all individuals living in society. That's the way it is. But does necessarily tweeting out or posting a particular article which is about fear and paranoia change the world? No, it changes the minds of people who are looking at it, who can then get this particular state of mind. And I believed a while ago, and I think I still believe it, that this is like almost like a drug addiction. Okay, this particular addiction that we've got, maybe it's to do with like hormones and chemicals in the body, or our adrenal glands, or some part of our primitive brain structure that's emitting a certain chemical which we can then develop a dependence upon. All right, just like an opiate or something like that. I think that's a possibility. But when it comes to the internet, okay, ideas are more likely to spread around more quickly, because it only takes a couple of quick clicks of a mouse, and then you put it on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Tumblr, or whatever it is you're using to spread ideas. And then whoever reads that, they may also click retweet. And I am an avid retweeter. That If you find me on Twitter, follow me because I'll retweet out all kinds of random stuff. And I use Twitter when I'm bored as well as being for my own purposes and promoting ideas which I personally, hold dear to and consider important. So it's quite entertaining. Now, before the internet came, the only real way in which people could actually get information was through TV, radio, and books. So essentially, book sales of various different strange ideas that would give people that a feeling of, somebody else knows something which I don't. Like shock horror, okay? Or there's something else going on, or there's things which I really have to know, and this one particular author is telling me because they know. Yes, of course they do. Yes, of course they do. No, they don't. And also the same kind of thing is true with religious movements, because religious movements are like a case study, really, in practice, of how information flows around the world. Because you get these like people promoting to like large auditoriums full of like hundreds or thousands of people, and they buy and sell books, and then they go on TV, and then it's religious thing is broadcast on like God.tv or whatever it is, and those ideas of that one particular person. Right, that one particular interpretation then gets spread into the conscious minds of those people, which will provide like excitement or euphoria or fear and paranoia. All right, I mean the anti-Freemasonry conspiracy. That's a pure example of how fear can be generated about this secret or secretive organization. They're not secretive. You can find out everything about Freemasonry in the library. Just read a book, okay? But there's people who still think that this organization, which everyone knows about, the history and inner workings of everyone actually knows about and can access, is somehow secretive. And some people will choose to believe the skydiving story. The skydiving story being these are all evil satanic people. When they reach the 33rd grade or whatever, then they start worshipping Satan and Beelzebub. Well, what if they did start worshipping Satan and Beelzebub? Who gives a flying fuck? But the fact of the matter is they don't. Okay, the fact of the matter is they actually don't. Alright, this is a lie, it's a sham, it's a misrepresentation of facts, and it's done for some kind of political purposes, but it's also done because it feeds that drug addiction to, oh my god, what's really happening? That fear, the paranoia, and fear and paranoia is really exciting. I mean, this is why we watch horror films. This is why, even the most well-adjusted person will want to watch some kind of cheesy crap in the dead of the night. I mean, when I was about the age of 20, there was always a time of day when I would want to watch crap on TV, and that was about midnight, when like I'd spent the whole day drinking tea and coffee like crazy. I was a bit jittery and overstimulated, and I was also overtired by then, so essentially it would be much more effective on my mind, and I would watch some really badly made TV. Alright, really badly made TV, like lousy effects, bad storyline, not very good use of camera angles, bad acting, and all the rest of that, but it would have an effect upon me, because I would be in that zone of, I want to feel this particular emotion of fear or excitement, and it'll be. It was basically crap. Here on the internet, okay, people are still like that. I mean, if you think about it, when do people go online? They go online briefly when they're at work and they shouldn't really be at work and they're concentrating on other things. So essentially that's one time when like the reaction online will be badly planned, badly thought out. Or they do it in the evenings when they come back from work, when they're tired and also not quite functioning on all four cylinders, okay? So that will also lead to some kind of bad effects or inappropriate reactions to something. Or they'll do it maybe on a Saturday night after they've been down the pub and they've been drinking and smoking a bit of whatever herbal pleasure they can lay their hands on. And again, they won't necessarily be thinking all that clearly. All right. So a lot of the stuff on the internet that we see here is attention deficit stuff. Okay, it's very quick bites of information, which is just put your way, and basically it's up to you to try and fill in the gaps, which isn't all that easy to do for a lot of people. So this can feed negatively into developments in, like, let's say the New Age movement. Okay, quite negatively, because there will be an awful lot of badly thought out ideas, badly researched ideas, which are then promoted, possibly even indeed promoted, either deliberately politically, or promoted in a manner which stimulates fear and excitement. I mean, what was it that Aleister Crowley was doing on such a date, or who gives a fuck? In reality, who cares? I mean, what was it that Dion Fortune was really doing? I mean, and of course, people misread various chapters of books that they've bought or they borrowed. They misremember things. They don't apply, as I carry on saying, the kind of reasoning that we learn when we're in middle school. Indeed, Sesame Street. All right, there was little cartoony skits in Sesame Street to try and teach children how to think. I saw one of those by accident recently, and I thought to myself, this is the kind of thing that adults need to be reminded of. This shouldn't be like it's kiddie o'clock in the morning. All right, this should actually be at 9 o'clock at night when people are actually starting to watch all the crap on sci-fi or. So, do you get where I'm coming from here? Okay, the waters of any argument are going to get muddied in quite substantial ways as a result of the way in which people want information, they seek information, and they use information. And there is going to be misinterpretations and misunderstandings as ideas get promoted. We are also very much in the world of the Chinese whispers. You played that when you were a kid. Have a line of children, sitting on a bench somewhere, and the teacher would then say to the first person a phrase, whisper it in their ear, and they would have to whisper it into the ear of the next person, the next person, the next person, and then the final person would then have to say what they thought they heard. And it could end up being something like totally hilarious or irrelevant or rude or incorrect somehow. So I just want to encourage all of you people out there to think that maybe some of the ideas that you've taken on board, that you've accepted as true already or that you believe in already, might possibly have one of those like Chinese whispers components or one of those skydiving moments or, excitement or fear issues that's been put in, or that you've kind of like latched onto because you're a human being, just like I am, just like everybody else here is. We all like a good horror story or a conspiracy theory or something like that. All right, and we've got to be careful of what we think and what we say, because this could, no matter how it's used, no matter in what movement it's being used, it can actually be potentially dangerous. If you just look at the way that things have been misrepresented in the allegedly rational atheist movement, look at the way in which things have been misrepresented in the allegedly peaceful and loving Christian movements. Look at the way in which things have been misrepresented in your own movement, your own political party, your own family. It's just a question of trying to become someone who can take a certain level of objectivity, which is hard to do, because we're all somehow emotionally involved in all the things that we experience. Okay, I'm no saint. Okay, I'm definitely no saint in this respect, but it's kind of like a moral thing to try and develop that level of objectivity and to try and become someone who's trying to get closer to the truth without necessarily losing sight, okay, of the search for what is right as well as what is true. I'm not sure if I've made that much sense there with that bit at the end, but I think you know where I'm coming from. And if you don't, thank you for watching anyway. This has been Nick Dutch.